Hey, so let's talk about some of the things we may be experiencing right now. We don't know what day it is. We don't know what time it is. We swear it's a certain day. We think it's a certain time, but it's not. We are seeing craziness in the world and acting like it's the first time that we've seen or experienced this crazy. Nothing tastes the same. Maybe you feel like you're in a gear that isn't feeling empathy or apathy. Maybe you're in a place where you're overly compassionate and feeling from the heart, or you're just looking at seeing, sensing, and feeling something that you're just not quite sure what you're feeling. You could be in conversation with people and it feels like you're not really in that conversation. Like maybe physically you don't feel there, but you are physically there. But the conversation itself is on a different plane that's either so super, super ridiculousness, or it's so deep you just can't go there. And you're not quite sure how you're balancing. You're either sleeping, or you think you're sleeping, or you've slept and you know you've slept, or you've tossed a whole lot and you know you haven't slept. You're caring, but then you're really not caring about stuff. Like maybe it's not as important to be neat and organized right there. Maybe you just don't care because it's just not relevant in this moment, and you'll get to it later. Maybe you find time isn't at all what you've learned it to be. There's just been boundaries and deadlines of where you're to be and what you're to do during that frame. And you're finding that you don't really want to be in that construct. Perhaps the job that you're in isn't at all satisfying. Maybe you just don't want to be there. Or maybe you're in a job where you're looking for something else to replace that job because you know at the end of the day you have to pay your bills. Maybe you're realizing that you've been sacrificing more passionate choices by diminishing and suppressing your soul and what it wants to do for what the human has told you needs to be done during the day. Maybe you're feeling less caring about what other people think of you. Maybe you don't care if you're wearing what you're wearing and someone's looking at you and it used to bother you because you thought everybody was judging you and you needed to look a certain way. Maybe you just don't care about that anymore. Maybe you're realizing that you're more of an introvert than you thought you were. Maybe it's just gotten ridiculous. Maybe not painful, but ridiculous just to be out in it, in the stuff that used to excite you or seems to excite others. It's just not the same. Maybe you're craving just, hey, how are you? What's happening? Let's not go deep. We don't need to go deep. Maybe you're craving just to sit and just be, not have to perform with too many words or be in too many places. Maybe you're finding the world isn't the world you thought it was. Maybe you're finding you've landed in places, people, and things that really aren't who you are. And so this is all part of awakening the pineal gland and getting more light to the pineal gland. Not by just all the hard work you've done or the deeds you're doing or the intentions that you're setting, but it's synergistic with the collaboration of the divine timing, so to speak, of what's being presented energetically, of the unseen, the unknown, that is changing the wheels of time as we know it. And so evolving is occurring whether you're aware that you're participating or not participating. Just being is enough, because the winds of time, the wheels of time, the evolution of time is all changing. It's the same, but it's changing in a way that you can't put your finger on it. And that's just because you're in a different platform, different level, because you're seeing things more fine-tuned through the awakening of the pineal gland, through the changing of the light within the atmosphere. It's the words I just heard. The light within the atmosphere, the outer space of it all, is changing, and it has the trickle-down effect, because we already know all the planets move. Everything's in movement. Even if it appears stationary, it's in movement. So we're going through what we want to call maybe new phases of time, new phases of seeing, sensing, and feeling that something's different. Now, many will go around and think, what is wrong with all you people? Like, I'm having bizarre conversations with people, or people are very different since they've been, or since the whole shutdown. But it's more than that. It's more than that. Whether you have been or haven't been, or whether you think you were affected or not affected, again, the winds of time, the wheels of time, the atmosphere of time is changing. And you can hold on to whatever you want. It's still going to spin. It's still going to change. It's still going to have movement and rotation. But it's going to come in a different way that you can't quite get the grease on the gerbil wheel fast enough to explain it to you in a very minuscule, kind of microscopic way that really our brains function on. So we're expanding different parts of the brain, and different parts of the brain are being lit up, but it needs plenty of time to integrate, to calibrate with all of its other mechanical parts that keep you breathing and alive and standing up, where you can move, make choices through being a healthier human. Just witnessing is a lot. Just acknowledging that something's up. I don't know what it is. Something's up. And so our past programming tells us we're going to have a boom. We're going to have a last straw on the camel's back. We're going to have something's going to break. Something's going to give. I could feel it. That's old programming. But really, we're just going through what appears to be invisible waves of energetic changes in a very sonic way without the arrival. It's just happening, and it's happening in almost like a space-like atmosphere, which is why time, our linear time, the days, things seem to be weird or bizarre or feeling a little off kilter, but you can't quite put your finger on it. And that's all okay, my friends. Can you just anchor and be able to not lose your footing? Can you repattern where your feet are and be okay with that? Can you move your stance so it may have a better balancing between all the joints of the body so you're standing actually a little bit differently? And can you recognize physical aches and pains and know that it's old patterning that's just screaming to get out? Let it go, let it go, get forgiveness, let it go. You don't need to store it. You don't need to go in there too deep. But if you do, Embodiment of the Soul has sessions for that to help you release it all faster, but still have the experience, still have better understanding, still make clearing room to see glimpses of what can be if you choose it. We are not victims of the change. We are all participating on many different levels, on many different scales, on many different platforms. And if you're really listening to the inner voice and just making little subtle movements of change within yourself, you're following the guidance of your divine self. It doesn't have to be, woohoo, look at me, one big giant leap, and I made it. No. Sometimes it's all in the little steps. It's all the experiences within each step, short or long. You just sprint a little bit here and there. Take a jump forward, sideways, backways, whatever works. Because you're rounding up all the old that's not going to serve you moving forward. So you may look in your closet and go, who the hell picked out all this clothes? Because these are just got to go. You may feel like you're craving different foods. You may feel like you don't want anything. And many of us that get into what you want to call this lag or this void of the unknown, we want to reach for things to fill space when actually we're asked to sort of declutter physically, mentally, spiritually, and emotionally, and etherically, so more light, more information can come through. So you don't declutter and then add more clutter. You don't. You just like, oh man, let me look at that space. That looks pretty good. That feels weird, but it looks pretty good. So have the courage to clear space. Make room for what's going to become available. If things are overcrowded, it's going to find another space to go to. Don't miss the opportunity to make changes here in the unknownness. Be willing to step into the isness of the who, of the you, as you are. As the world turns, so do you. Just breathe on that, my friends. Walk through your day with the intention of just being aware and listen to understand on a higher level of consciousness, because that is the awakening. It's just going into a higher level of consciousness, letting go of whatever density and phase that we just went through. You're just simply going on to the next phase. Yeah. You can do it. You can. If you need any help, you know where to find me. In the meantime, like, subscribe, and share. And enjoy this newness. Embrace it. Explore. Explore it. Allow it time to come through your physical. Allow it to filter through. Back and forth. Don't let it get stuck. And just be. And at the end of each day, ask yourself, how do I see, sense, and feel in this moment? And adjust yourself accordingly, and wake up the next day and just keep adjusting and self-adjusting and adjusting and self-adjusting, because you're becoming more aware of the myself, the who of you. Because this is your operating tool. You can boss everybody around you want. You can cut everybody down around you want. You can have opinions and judgments and perceptions all you want. This is what you've got. So learn where your lines of your lane are. Hone it in, bring it in. Infuse it. Learn to operate from there. And then you may find you've got wider spaces than you thought. And just see, sense, and feel from there. Yeah. See y'all on the next video.